Hello, good morning. Welcome to JCE Connect. So, in the last class, we have discussed about the working of centrifugal pump, its advantages, disadvantages, and applications. So, today we'll be dealing about reciprocating pump. So, reciprocating pump is the one in which we are converting rotary motion into reciprocating motion. As we have seen in centrifugal pump, we are converting mechanical energy into hydraulic energy because of rotation of the impeller. But in reciprocating pump, it is mainly because of reciprocating motion. And in this, the rotary motion is converted into reciprocating motion. Okay, the rotary motion is converted into reciprocating motion. Now, so in this, what happens is, so as you can see, it is kind of similar to the IC engines. So what all is similar in this? Similar construction of the IC engines. So what are the similar things? The similar things are like cylinder, piston, the piston rod, the connecting rod, and the crank. These are some similarities based on the IC engine. But in IC engines, the thing is that we are converting reciprocating motion into rotation motion. But in this, we are converting rotary motion into reciprocating motion. And in that we are burning fuel and producing energy and all. But here we want to just pump the water and convert mechanical energy into hydraulic energy. Okay, that mechanical energy is nothing but the reciprocation of the piston from one end to the other end. That is mechanical energy, and converting it to hydraulic energy means we are increasing its pressure. Okay, now, so now what happens is, I'll tell you the construction. After that we'll go for the working. So that is a suction, that is a sump in which water is there, kind of tank, we can say tank. There is suction pipe in which the water is been sucked in. There is a piston, there is a valve, suction valve, which is a one-way valve which opens only in one side, not in the other side, so that whatever water is there inside it, it should not come back to the sump. Okay, that's the piston rod, connecting rod, and crank. The next one is the delivery valve. Delivery valve is also a one-way valve. Once it is open, it cannot be opened in the other side. Okay, and there is a delivery pipe to deliver the water at the higher end. These are the parts of the reciprocating pump. So now, how it works? So the one thing is that when the in centrifugal pump, if the water has to enter into the pump, there should be a creation of low pressure zone by rotating the impeller. When the impeller rotates in the centrifugal pump, there is a creation of what? Low pressure zone, which is taking the water inside the pump from the sump. So the same thing over here. So the sump, whatever water is there, it will be at atmospheric pressure. Atmospheric pressure. So the pressure is high. So now we have to create a vacuum zone or a low pressure zone. So what I will do is, so what the pump does is, so when the piston is moving towards its right, it means that the crank is at the position A. When the piston is moving towards the left, the it means that the crank is at point C. So now you can imagine that when the piston is at point A, the piston will be towards the this point. When the piston is at point C, the piston when the crank is at point C, the piston will be here. Okay. Now, so now I have to create a low pressure zone. So this crank, sorry, I have not told this. This crank is connected to the motor shaft, as we are connecting the impeller to the motor shaft in the centrifugal pump, we are connecting this crank to the electric motor shaft. Okay, now, so as the electric motor shaft rotates, the crank also rotates, and this rotation will make the piston to reciprocate. Okay, now, as the crank comes to the point C by taking the rotation from 0 degree to 180 degree, the piston will move from towards the right. Okay, so that time what happens, there is a vacuum being created in this area. When the piston is at this position, the vacuum is created in this. Because the vacuum is created, the suction valve gets opened up. When this gets opened up, what will happen, whatever water is there at the atmospheric pressure, it will enter into the suction pipe and fill in this area, okay. Till then the delivery valve is closed. The delivery valve will be always closed during the suction time. So now what happens is, because of the, as we know that the pressure flows from higher to lower, so the water which is at higher pressure, that is atmospheric pressure, will enter to the vacuum pressure. Okay, so the water flows from higher level to the lower level. So the water is been sucked inside the chamber where the above the towards the left of the piston in this area. So when the piston is at this end. Okay, now this is suction side. Now suction has happened. Now when the piston moves from, sorry, when the crank moves from C to A, that is from 180 degree to 360 degree, so the piston will go towards the left. The piston will come here. When the crank will move from C to A, what will happen? The piston will move from right side to the left side. So whatever water is there in this part, it will be compressed. So that time the suction valve will be closed. The suction valve is closed and the delivery valve opens up. When the delivery valve opens up, what will happen? Whatever liquid was there inside this, when the piston moves from the right to left, it will deliver the water with high pressure from the delivery valve in the delivery pipe. So delivery valve is open during the delivery of water at the outlet from the delivery pipe. Okay, so all depends on the what? The rotation of the crank and the motion of the piston. Okay, so this is the working of reciprocating pump. So now okay, so this is the working principle of a reciprocating pump, whatever we have studied now. So the water will enter, it will be sucked in, and the crank moves here, the crank rotates, that it reciprocates, then it will be a reciprocating motion. When the reciprocating motion is done, it will be taken out. Okay, it is like this. Fine. Okay, so next we'll go to the, so as I have told all this in the diagram itself, so I'll just repeat it again. So in centrifugal pump, the transformation from mechanical to hydraulic energy takes place because of rotation of the impeller. But in reciprocating pump, the energy transformation from mechanical to hydraulic is because of purely reciprocating motion of the piston. So in reciprocating pump, what is happening is the rotary action of the crank is converted into reciprocating motion of the piston. And here the pressure is applied by reducing the volume. So volume is reduced in this. Volume of water discharged is reduced. But the water which has to be discharged will be high. Okay. Next, so the working, I'll repeat it again for you. The main components in this reciprocating pump are what I told: cylinder, the piston or plunger, connecting rod, crank, suction pipe, and delivery pipe. These are the important components. Okay, the suction and delivery pipes have one-way valves that are suction valve and delivery valve. So when the piston moves towards the right through 0 to 180 degree of crank, the vacuum is created, that is a low pressure zone, and due to this, suction valve is pushed up and the liquid enters the cylinder. As I have discussed, that suction valve will open up and the water enters. It will be just one way valve, it won't open in other side. So what if that starts opening in the other side, whatever water is there, it will start getting into the sump again. So that has to be avoided. Okay, so it is one way side. When the piston moves towards the left from through 180 degree to 360, through 180 degree to, अभी देखो ऐसा, अभी crank it is like this, taking place 0 to 180 degree. Now if it goes like this, it is 180 to 360 degree. So when the piston moves towards the left through 180 to 360 degree of crank rotation, suction valve is closed that time and delivery valve is open due to the high pressure of the liquid. So it is created with suction pressure. So it is being pushed with high pressure. That time the suction valve will get closed and the delivery valve will open up. When the delivery valve is open, the high pressure liquid is delivered to the delivery pipe and it is taken out. Okay, that is the working of the reciprocating pump. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of reciprocating pump? The reciprocating pump has advantage of having, actually this is a disadvantage, that is it is having a low efficiency compared to the centrifugal pump. It requires no priming is needed. We'll discuss about priming in the next slide, but in centrifugal pump we required priming to be done. Here the one advantage in this reciprocating pump, the water is delivered at high pressure. The water is delivered at high pressure and it works in the wide pressure range. So as it is delivered in high pressure, the whatever water is there at the end at the sump is delivered at the higher end with high pressure. So in reciprocating pump you can deliver the water at from 10 to 12 bar, but in centrifugal pump you can deliver the water from 2 to 5 bar. Okay, at 2 to 5 bar, not more than that. Okay, and it is at continuous rate of discharge. The discharge of which is there, it will be high in reciprocating type of pumps. And the disadvantages are, as it has having more reciprocating parts components, it will be having high initial cost. The maintenance cost is more because of rotation motion. There will be a wear and tear which is created in the pump, and it is having low discharging capacity. In some pumps what happens is, because of the small movement of the piston, the discharging capacity is low in some pumps of reciprocating type, and it is difficult to pump viscous fluid during suction stroke. But this is not same in type of industrial pumps. In industrial pumps, some are using more viscous liquids so that they can pump it, and high wear and tear in parts, as I have discussed in this one in maintenance cost. So there is high wear and tear in parts because of reciprocating motion. So these are some advantages and disadvantages of reciprocating pump, and the applications are same as that of the what centrifugal pump. The only difference is that we are using the reciprocating pump where we require high pressure and high discharge. Where we require high pressure and high discharge. Discharge is nothing but flow of water or flow rate of water. So it may be water or it may be oil or any liquid which we are using in the industry. Okay, so that is the applications of reciprocating pump. So now we'll be going with the priming of centrifugal pump. What is priming? So you might have observed that at your home, whenever the pump doesn't work, so what you'll do, start putting some water inside the centrifugal pump or the pump from the outlet side. You might have observed it at your home. So there will be a kind of, I'll wait one, I'll tell you. So there will be a kind of pipe. So it is connected to the centrifugal pump, and you're putting water from here. Okay. So that water is put before starting the pump. You are doing all this before starting the pump. Why we have to do that? Because when we keep the pump as it is, the whatever air is there inside it, it will get into the, so water is the air is starting getting into the impeller. So because of that, so that doesn't give you a proper starting of the centrifugal pump. For the proper starting of the centrifugal pump, we have to put some water from the outside source into the centrifugal pump before starting it. So priming is defined as an operation in which impeller casing and delivery pipe, impeller casing and the delivery pipe is completely filled with outside source of water. And the, okay, during starting, we are completely filling it with water from the delivery pipe end, not about section. I'm talking not about section. So if this is the centrifugal pump and this is the delivery pipe, so the water is filled till this end, till the center. Okay. Thus, this removes leads to the removal of air present inside the parts of the centrifugal pump. So sometimes your pump doesn't start because of the air which is there in the centrifugal pump. So this has to be removed by putting some water from the delivery side, and it has to be filled till it comes out of the delivery pipe. Okay. So when it comes out of the delivery pipe, it indicates that it is completely filled from delivery pipe till the centrifugal pump. So it does not lead to damage to the centrifugal pump. So we can start our pump easily. Okay. So this is nothing but priming. Priming is nothing but filling of water in the delivery pipe and the impeller casing before starting it. Okay. And this is done in small pumps by using, there will be funnels where we are putting the water and the water is being sucked in. Okay. Fine. Okay. That is priming. Now the main part, that is cavitation. So what is cavitation? Okay. So cavitation is nothing but formation of cavities in the impeller or the centrifugal pump parts. Formation of cavities. Cavities is nothing but a form of type of holes, or it starts eroding and that forms a cavity. Cavity you might have heard somewhere, like there is a kind of small hole created in that. We can say dental cavities, like that. Okay. So now in this cavitation happens in the what? In the centrifugal pump. How it happens? So now I'll just read it for your better understanding. If the pressure at any point in the suction pipe comes below the vapor pressure, which is exceeding the atmospheric pressure, then water starts boiling, which leads to vaporization of the liquid. So what is this vapor pressure now? So you have heard the word here, vapor pressure. What is this vapor pressure? So like this, like an example, if I take a closed container, okay, and if I put some water in this, okay, if I'm putting a water, and this water or this liquid is at some 20 degrees Celsius. The water is at 20 degrees Celsius. Now what will happen? Whatever water is there, okay, so whatever water is there, I'm it is completely closed in a container, so I'll start heating it. I'll start heating the water, and when I start heating the water, whatever molecules are there here in the water surface, it will start coming up, forming vapors. These vapors will start creating a pressure on the walls of this container, which is closed. So this vapor, whatever is there, will start creating a pressure on the what? Pressure on the walls of this container. When there is a pressure created in the walls of the container, it will start creating a pressure on the water. So that is nothing but the pressure created by the, or pressure which is forced on the water surface, that is known as vapor pressure, which is done by the vapor itself. Okay, the whatever vapor is generated over here, so it will start creating a pressure on the water. So that pressure is known as vapor pressure. So now how this is related to cavitation? See, if I draw one more diagram of same 20 degrees Celsius water and okay, okay, and there is vapor and it has been heated up, and what happens is, this is if we consider this to be P1 pressure and this if I consider it to be P2 pressure, what happens is, if this P2 pressure is less than this P1 pressure, means if the vapor pressure is of P1 is if vapor pressure P1 is greater than vapor pressure P2, it means that P2 vapor pressure is less than P1. If the vapor pressure goes on decreasing, or if it goes below the vapor pressure, the pressure inside this chamber, whatever water is there, whatever pressure is molecules are there here, if this pressure goes on decreasing below the vapor pressure which is generated in this, okay, so this P1 is the pressure inside this first chamber which is above the vapor pressure. If this pressure P2 goes below the vapor pressure or equal to vapor pressure, so that time what happens, water will start boiling less than 100 degrees Celsius. Okay, so water will start boiling less than 100 degree Celsius. So in this what happens is, if P2 is less than P1, that time it means that the pressure inside this area will be less than the vapor pressure. Then with that the boiling temperature of water also gets reduced, and it will come to a point where the whatever liquid is there in this area will start boiling at 20 degrees Celsius. Okay, so as the vapor pressure decreases, the boiling temperature of the liquid also decreases. Okay, so see, the boiling temperature of water is 100 degrees Celsius. If this vapor pressure goes on decreasing, and the boiling temperature of water will also goes on decreasing from 100 to 95 to 95 to 85, 85 to 75, 75 to 60, like that. When this vapor pressure goes on decreasing below, whatever pressure is there goes on decreasing below the vapor pressure. Because of this decrease in pressure below the vapor pressure, what happens is there is the creation of vapors at lower temperatures, not at 100 degrees Celsius. It will start creating vapors at the lower temperatures, not above the abhi dekho, like it starts creating vapors at 85, 90, 75, 65 and all. Okay, so that is happens only when there is a low pressure zone, and that low pressure zone is created in the centrifugal pump, in the suction pipe. Okay, so what happens in suction pipe in the centrifugal pump? As the impeller rotates, it is creating a vacuum which is creating a low pressure zone in the suction pipe. Because of the creation of low pressure zone in the suction pipe, the water enters into the chamber. So water enters into the suction pipe. So when the water enters into suction pipe, whatever liquid droplets are there, it will start boiling, because the pressure becomes lower than the vapor pressure. The pressure inside that suction pipe becomes lower than the vapor pressure, because of which the water starts boiling or evaporating, because of which there are bubbles formed in that. There are formation of bubbles. Okay, now you understood why this is happening. So it is just that if the vapor pressure, if the pressure inside any pipe comes below the vapor pressure, what happens is the water starts boiling and leads to the vaporization of the liquid. Due to this vaporization, there is a formation of bubbles. Whenever you boil water, what happens? There is a formation of bubbles. So these bubbles, what will happen? It will be moving with the suction pipe into the impeller. The impeller is at high pressure zone. Impeller is at high pressure zone. Why? It is covered with the casing. It is covered with the casing, and there is an impeller. Okay, and this is a high pressure zone. It is creating a low pressure zone in the suction pipe. It is not creating inside the impeller. It is creating a low pressure zone in the suction pipe, not in the impeller. So this impeller is a high pressure zone because it is throwing out the water continuously. So the water will be sucked in through the eye of the impeller, it will come inside it, and along with that the bubbles will also come inside that. So these bubbles will start bursting because of high pressure zone in the impeller. Because of this bursting of the bubbles, there is the chances of collapsing of the bubbles with high pressure. This bubble starts collapsing because of the high pressure zone created in the impeller, and because of this collapsing of the bubbles, it is starts eroding the material. Because of that, what happens is it will hit towards the impeller blade, it will hit near the material of the impeller blade, and what happens is that time it will start collapsing and it will create a shock wave, because of which there is some formation of removal of materials of the pump. So that materials is carried again towards the delivery pipe. So this will lead to the formation of cavities, and it will start collapsing the system of the centrifugal pump. So what are the effects of the cavitation? That phenomenon is known as cavitation. The formation of cavities because of decrease in pressure below the vapor pressure. Okay, so what are the effects of cavitation? Metallic surfaces are damaged, the noise and vibrations are produced because of the parts which are been deteriorated, and the efficiency of the pump decreases. So this is nothing but the process of or the phenomenon of cavitation. If you have not understood this, you can contact me. Okay, thank you. So as I have finished the module 2 with this, and if you have any doubts, you can contact me, and thank you.